Alright, so I'm going to show how to replace the charge port on this 15-inch MacBook Pro model A1398. This is a mid-2014 model, I believe. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove all the screws on the bottom using a Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. You want to keep the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. If you mix them up, you can actually damage your computer. So I do that by putting the flat side down on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So there's this rectangular shape, and that's how I put the screws. All right, so I'm doing this with a broken right clavicle, my collarbone. I broke it riding my wheel. I was doing a slow range test, hit a cone, and I broke that bone. So if I can do this with a one of my arms slightly disabled, then hopefully you guys will be able to do this with both your hands and arms. All right, so just remove all these screws. The two middle ones here are slightly shorter, so if you do happen to mix them up, hopefully that will help. But again, you do want to try and keep all the screws in order and not mix them up. All right, if I took it from this hole, I put it back in this hole. I try not to mix and match, even if the screws are the same shape or length or whatever. All right, and if these videos help you, make sure to like and subscribe. I gotta kind of remind people, I know some people hate that, but it really does help get people to like and subscribe because sometimes they forget or they don't stay till the end of the video. All right, so if this does help you, like, subscribe, share my channel with others. All right, and we're gonna continue with the repair. All right, now that we got all the screws out, we are going to lift the cover off. Just go from the back here. Hopefully this is one of the easier charge ports to remove. All right, so you do that. There's some clips there. Oh, that's super gross and dirty. The customer said it was running hot. I did notice their charge port looked pretty bad, and sadly this is the model where I have to actually take the entire Logicboard out of the computer to fix this. So this is going to be somewhat of a pain, but we're going to go ahead and do it. All right, so I'm going to clean the dust out and I'll be back. Basically, I'm just going to use a toothbrush to scrub all that dirt off, and then I'm going to use an electric air blower to blow off all the loose dust. All right, I'll be back with a cleaned up MacBook. All right, so I'm back, cleaned out the dust, most of it anyways. So the rest is kind of stuck on there, so we're just going to leave that as is. All right, so first thing you want to do, again, we are just going to be changing the charge port here, but the design of this one requires you to take the entire motherboard out. So what a stupid design. All right, let me show you why it's a stupid design. So the charge port is just like this, okay? So here you can see. So this is a used charge port, pulled from another MacBook, of course. And it just has this short little cable here, you see. But because they decided to connect the charge port underneath, yeah, they could have easily just made a connector on top for both of these things. They could have made this cable slightly longer. They could have moved these things underneath, but they wanted to make it difficult. All right, so anyways, we're going to go ahead. Let me show you here how bad this one looks, so you see why we're going to be replacing the charge port. So this thing's all burnt up. I mean, it might work, but it's really bad. Their charger, it was separating and it was like melted. So we're going to be replacing this. All right, so first things first, disconnect the battery. All right, the RAM is soldered in place, so you can't remove that. The SSD is removable. There's just one screw there. We are going to remove that to do this. Anyways, underneath, to disconnect the battery, you can see there's this layer here, and that's where we're going to pull that connector. I'm going to do this while it's down on the table so I can pull on both sides, just like that, and we pull that to disconnect the battery. All right, once you disconnect the battery, let's zoom out. Oops. Okay, once you disconnect the battery, open it up, press and hold the power button 10 to 15 seconds. This will drain the power from the board so that there's less risk of damaging anything. This is actually very important if you're going to remove the screen cable, which we are going to have to disconnect, because if we don't, then we're not going to be able to get to the charge port. All right, so there we go. Close that up. All right, so these rubber things are just flapping out because I cleaned out the dust. All right, so first thing we're going to do is disconnect the LCD LVDS connector. Right, again, hopefully you know if you're going to disconnect this, you do have to press and hold the power button to drain that. All right, I'm going to also switch my screwdriver to a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver bit. So when I get to the screws, most of these are T5. All right, to remove this, I get my fingernail underneath this metal latch here. We lift that up, okay? Just like that. The metal latch comes up like that. And then I grab with both fingers or both hands, and then I push at the bottom of that latch to pull that connector out just like that. All right, we're going to take that out and we're going to move that aside. All right, if they did this the right way, where it would be easy to remove, there's just 2 screws here. You take that out and you can easily unplug it, but nope, they decided to make it difficult. So now we're going to do a Logicboard removal video for here. All right, so let's zoom out, move this over to the side. Okay, so technically, I guess we do have to remove everything. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is disconnect these 2 cables here. All right, I just get underneath with my fingernails and I kind of just wiggle and pull this up. Okay, just like that. Same thing with the other side. Right, sorry, my hand's gonna get in the way, I know, but just pull it up just like that. I am gonna leave this connected unless I have to remove it. All right, so let's go ahead and start removing screws. I'm gonna also remove the screws, undo the screws under here just so I can remove the wireless antennas and move them out of the way. All right, so to get this out, we're gonna, there's an adhesive across underneath here. So I'm gonna get my small screwdriver, get under between there, and I'm gonna lift that out. So here you can see there's the adhesive on there. Okay, we're gonna set that aside. Keep track of all this stuff. I put it in the layout, I remove it, so that way I can be able to put it all back together. All right, I'm gonna get the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. We don't need to take out the antennas completely. We could just loosen it because the main thing is to get this board out from underneath this. But anyways, I'm gonna just remove it just to be safe. Okay, so we'll take that one screw out. And we'll take this screw out. All right. There we go. All right, switch back to the T5. We'll pull this out. Normally there's an adhesive holding it down. Just peel this adhesive up. We're gonna remove the wireless antennas. I just go underneath with my 2 fingernails. You can use tweezers or whatever, and you pull straight up. Directly force towards the tail. You don't want to pull from back here. So when I'm pulling, I'm actually pulling at the tail area. Okay, so we're pulling it straight up. And there you go, that connector comes out. Now we're going to peel this adhesive out. This cable is a little bit difficult to remove. This is the trackpad, or not the trackpad, sorry, this is the camera, webcam, eyesight camera cable. So we're going to remove the adhesive under here first. Oops, I zoomed in too far. Okay, so first thing we're going to go underneath here where it's not being held down under that screw, okay, or above that screw, and we're going to peel this up slightly, okay, get all these wires out from the routing here, okay, just like that. Once you get underneath there, you can go ahead, grab the wires, and then just peel it up slowly. You want to try and keep the wires flat. You don't want to fold them over, okay? So try and keep the wires flat as you slightly pull up. I'm gonna put my finger here so when it yanks up, it's not gonna rip out the camera cable here. All right, so this cable is a little bit tricky to remove. Normally I kind of just wiggle it, but sometimes I can break it. So what you do, grab the cable. If you can with your screwdriver, you wanna like go one edge and then switch the other and just slowly walk that connector out, all right? So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm going left side, right side, left side, right side. So here you can see the connector is slowly walking its way out. And there we go. So we got that connector out. I'm gonna rotate this back over. There we go. Okay, so now we got this connector completely removed. All right, we're gonna move that aside, and then we're gonna go ahead and start removing all these T5 screws. There's a lot of them. So again, put them in the layout that you remove them so that you can be able to put back the same screws back where you got them. So we're gonna remove this screw. Okay. Then we're gonna remove the screw right next to it. Okay. Then we're gonna remove the screw below it. So this is the pattern that I'm doing. So these two are next to each other. Then this one goes down below beneath the silver one. And then we got one down here. We'll remove that as well. Okay. Below the other one. Then we got this screw here further over to the left. Okay. Just like that. All right. Technically, we could leave this screw in here because it's not holding down anything to the palm rest. It's actually just holding it, the fan onto here. So I'm actually, if I can, I'm going to leave that there because if I remember correctly, this fan goes underneath the whole heatsink here. Okay, so we're going to leave that for now. Let's go ahead and see if we can take everything else out without removing this. Okay, so let's remove the SSD, one screw here, which basically goes below that other screw there. Okay, SSD comes out just like this, lift it up slightly, and then you kind of just wiggle and pull it. There we go. It's kind of dusty and gross here, so I'm going to clean that off. All right. Make sure you're keeping yourself grounded so that you don't get static electricity to fry the motherboard. Okay, I'm keeping my leg against a metal desk. All right, so we're going to disconnect this cable here. So flip this latch up. Once you do that, there is some adhesive holding this in place, so you might have to peel that up first. All right, hold this plastic stuff down while you peel that up, just like that, and then we can go ahead and grab this. Same thing as the video cable, LCD or LVDS cable. Grab the metal latch and push towards the bottom to pull that back. All right, just like that, and there we go. All right, then we got another screw here, slightly over to the right from the SSD screw. Don't forget this one because this one is underneath the SSD, so if you forget it, you're gonna not be able to see where it's coming from. All right, then don't forget to disconnect this. This is the keyboard backlight cable. Just flip that latch up. So if for some reason your keyboard backlight isn't working, either you damaged this cable or you forgot to plug it back in and you might have trapped it underneath the motherboard. If that's the case, you're gonna have to take everything back apart. All right, we'll take this screw out. And I'm going to leave the wireless card in here. This is the wireless card. It comes out just like the SSD. There's a thermal pad under there, so it's kind of sticky, stuck to the board. But basically, you just pull it up. It'll pop away from the board, and then you can pull it out just like the SSD. All right, let's see. I don't think I need to remove the battery screws, but we'll do it just to make it a little bit easier. So there's the two battery screws. One is here. All right, they're hidden underneath this plastic film here. Okay, I'm gonna keep these screws separate because they're far away from everything else. All right, peel this side up as well and remove that screw. So most likely you don't need to remove these, but I'm just doing it. It might make it a little bit easier. Okay, then you got the trackpad cable here. Make sure to disconnect that as well. Get underneath and just pop it up just like that. So there you go. All right, this cable's a little bit tricky under here. So this is the, what do you call it? This is the speaker cable for this one. This is the right speaker cable. So to get under there, you kind of need like a thin tool. Usually I'll use a needle. I'll try with this, but yeah, that's gonna be more difficult. But anyways, usually what I'll do is I'll take a needle, and this needle has like a little bend in it, so it makes it easier. So I get underneath, and then I try and get as close as I can to the connector, and then I pop it up just like that. All right, hopefully you were able to see that. Once I get that side up, I can go underneath from this side and lift it out with my fingernail. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna keep continuing, removing the screws. There's another screw all the way over here. We're gonna remove that one as well. Okay. Then we got another screw for the fan here. Again, we can leave these fan screws in because they're not holding down to the keyboard assembly. They're just holding on to the motherboard itself. I'm going to take this screw out. Okay. If you're wondering how to remove these fan cables, it's just like all the others. There's a latch. You flip that latch up and then you can pull the cable out. It's basically like this one. This is the keyboard connector. Okay, so we're going to peel this plastic piece up. All right, peel that up just like that. Then you flip this latch up just like that. Once you flip the latch, you can use this tab to help you pull this cable back and out just like that. Okay. All right, we got the other speaker. Oops, let's move over here. We got the other speaker connector here. So usually what I do for these speaker connectors, I get my fingernail under there. Okay. and then I pry as close as I can to the connector. So not all the way out here with this end of the fingernail. I use this side of the fingernail to pop it up just like that, and then pull that out. All right. Then we got this little rubber cover here. We're going to take that black rubber cover off. And then there's 3 screws going down here, so we're going to remove those 3 screws. Oh, we might actually have to take this fan out. Okay, because the microphone connector. Okay, so let's remove these 3 screws. Yeah, I think we're going to remove that fan screw. Okay, so we'll see here. Remove all these screws. Okay, let's see if I have to remove that or not. I most likely will, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to put the microphone cable back. Alright, so let's remove this 1 screw here for the fan as well. Okay, well at least remove one of the fans so you can kind of see how it works. So flip that latch up like I said with the keyboard one. Alright, once that latch is up, you can use this. I believe this is like a thermal sensor, so it kind of detects the temperature. Peel this thing out of the way, right? Lift the speaker up slightly, or sorry, the fan, and we're gonna push this cable out. Okay, kind of push it this way. Okay, so just push that kind of as you grab the fan, and there we go. Comes out just like that. All right, we'll set the fan aside. Oh, so I might have been wrong. I guess the fan doesn't go underneath there. So if you want, yeah, you can easily remove that one as well, but I'm gonna see, we'll leave it there. All right, so you got the microphone connector here, same thing as the fan, flip that latch up. The only thing is this connector, there's nothing to pull on. So what I do is I get a needle here, same thing, get the needle threaded through underneath that cable, and then I will actually use this needle to help pull that cable out, just like this. Okay, use the other end of that, and I kind of pull it and wiggle it. You kind of have to wiggle it, don't just yank it really hard, okay? And then it helps also to kind of push down on this cable. Sorry if my head's getting in the way, but just do that and kind of wiggle it. Push it down and wiggle it, and there you go. Okay, again, you don't want to yank too hard because you don't want to tear that cable trying to pull it out. Otherwise, you won't have a microphone. Okay, so we got all of those out. We got 2 more screws here holding the charge port in place, so let's remove those 2 screws up there. Okay, come on. There we go. That one and this one. Alright, so now we got both those screws out. Let's go ahead and lift the motherboard or the Logicboard out of here. So I think we got everything removed that we need to remove. Let's see here. So here you can see if we lift this, let me zoom out. Okay, this might be a little tough with my right arm disabled, but let's see what we can do. Okay, we're gonna lift this up slightly. And you're gonna wanna be careful because it will get caught underneath this plastic thing here. So you have to kind of lift both at the same time. And once you pass the plastic thing, then you can kind of lift the whole thing out. All right, so let's see here, it's kind of getting stuck, so you might have to check here, check all the connections, see if it's what it's getting caught on. You might have to like pull the battery connectors out of the way here, speaker connector there, and there we go. I might actually take the whole thing out just so I can clean the dust a little bit better there, but there you go, we got this out. So here you can see, and then the charge port board here. So this is all dusty as well, so that's kind of gross. So yeah, let's actually take the whole fan out and clean that up as well. I'm gonna clean the dust out from here, so just like this, using a toothbrush. Okay, there you go, it's already a lot cleaner. Take the air blower, just blow that out. Okay, again, we're gonna remove this fan as well. Kind of didn't want to, but I guess we'll do it just so we can clean it up a little bit better. Same thing, there's this little latch here, flip that up, and then push this out. Right, I might have to take the wireless card out as well to make this easier, but push that, there we go. Okay, so we got that out. Alright, let's go ahead and clean this dust as well. Wow, this one's like really clogged in there. I don't know if you can see that, so I'm gonna have to kind of use the air blower and try and push all that dust through the other way. Oh, I need to do this outside. Okay, there's a lot of dust, so I'm gonna do this outside, all right? I'll be back in a bit once it's cleaned up, All right, I'll see you guys soon. All right, there we go. So we got that out. Okay, it's all cleaned up now. So now we're gonna disconnect the charge port here. Okay, actually let me clean up a little bit of the dust here as well, see if it will come out. All right, looks like it's coming out. As well, just because we can. Okay. All right, electric. Sorry, I was thinking of the electric blower, and then my mind just said it. All right, so we're gonna remove the charge port here. So there's these slightly raised parts that I kind of use my fingernail to pull it out. So just go like that. If you can't, then you can kind of just grab the wires. Make sure to hold this down tight and then kind of just wiggle it as you pull it, just like that, and it'll eventually come out. All right, there you go. So here you can see how badly burnt this thing is. All right. All right, so we're gonna replace it with this one. It's a lot better, it's not all burnt up. All right, there's stuff on it, but you can't really do anything about it. That's just from using over time. Okay, I'm gonna try and clean it a little bit. There we go. Get that a bit cleaned up so it doesn't look too bad. Okay, and then we're just gonna plug this back in, same thing. So get this lined up and then pinch these two pieces together. And there we go, we got the charge port replaced. So all that work just to replace this one small piece. It's kind of stupid design, all right? So to put this back, we're gonna have to do it at an angle like this, okay? So get it like that, line up the charge port, make sure it's lined up with that little notch and the two screw holes. And then we're gonna slowly twist it over. Make sure these metal latches here go underneath this metal piece. They're supposed to be under there, not on top. All right, so make sure. And then slowly lower it down. As you're lowering it, make sure that the keyboard connector stays on top. Make sure that the battery and trackpad connectors stay on top. This is the hardest part, is making sure all these little connectors end up on top. It sometimes helps to use like a little tool to kind of pull them back out as you're slowly lowering it down. But there you go, you can kind of maneuver it around. Oops, I'm gonna have to fix this again because it popped out. Right, you wanna make sure to kind of hold it over towards this side because you don't wanna get that to all come back out. Right, again, hardest part is getting the battery and other stuff to end up staying on top. You can use a tool like this to help pull them out as you're kind of holding it in place. All right, get that back on top as well. Okay, it's being difficult. So use that, push that over. You can use some tweezers too if you want to help pull them in. You can see how much of a pain this kind of thing is. Oh man, come on. There we go. Battery on top. Okay, make sure these spring pieces are down. Make sure you get the keyboard backlight connector on top as well. All right, slowly drop it down. Make sure these wires stay on top as well. Lift this up slightly. Make sure that goes back underneath. Okay, pretty much the reverse of what we had to do to get everything out. Okay, keyboard connector is out. There we go. Get this all lined up. Make sure to plug this connector back in. Okay, it's kind of wobbly here, so something is stuck or not going out properly. Is it the battery connector? No. What are we trapping underneath here? Something is not right. Something doesn't feel right here. Something is caught under there. So I'm gonna have to lift this whole thing back up again and find out what is underneath that's causing it to not sit properly. Okay, so lift this all back up. Man, okay, let's take this back out. Oh, why is there, oh, whoa, good thing we didn't smash it down really hard. Okay, don't forget, if you leave stuff on there, there was a screw there. Okay, I was wondering why it wasn't going down. Okay, get that all lined back up. There we go. Get that out of the way. It's like when a doctor leaves a tool inside your stomach or something when they're operating, right? Okay, get that out, right? Make sure all these cables end up back on top. All right, just like that. Make sure this ends up on top as well. Make sure this ends up on top. Okay, and let's get the keyboard backlight. There we go. Okay, now it's sitting right. Okay, good thing I didn't smash it down really hard and force it into place. That could have been pretty bad. Let's make sure this lines up right. Okay, get that back underneath. Just like that. Make sure these little metal tabs go underneath. You can actually reconnect this first before you do that, so this piece comes out, right? Get this all lined up, and then use the tabs to help pull it into place. There we go. Put that latch back down on top. Angle this, put this back at an angle. Make sure these metal clips end up underneath this metal part here. There we go. Drop that down. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and put back all the screws. So first thing, we're gonna start from right to left. All right, when putting back the charger, it helps to get your charger, make sure your charger's unplugged when you do this. I have this little adapter to make it a little bit easier, but I plug that in and then I pull it to keep it flush against the edge, and then we'll tighten down the screw. All right, go. Just like that. Second screw. Tighten this down. Just like that. Again, you want to make sure the motherboard or logic board stays over to the right hand side. Okay, now we're going to get the silver screw here. Okay, and kind of while holding that in place, we'll tighten this down. There we go. Put the rubber piece back on top. Okay, make sure to plug back in the microphone. Let's see if I can zoom in and show this. Okay. Line this up just like that. All right, and then push that back in. Kind of wiggle it around. Make sure most of the white line is hidden under the connector, and then slide your finger over the top to latch it back down. We'll get the speaker connector here. We'll click this back down in place as well, just like that. All right, let's go ahead and start putting in the rest of the screws. Oops, so let's get the fan here. Oops, wrong fan. So we'll take the fan here, make sure that latches up, slide that into place, use this raised bit to help pull the cable, and then slide your finger over the top to latch it back down. Okay, just like that. And we'll take these screws. You want to loosely fit them at first, just like this. Okay, you don't want to tighten them down yet. Alright, now that we got all three screws in, what you want to do is pull the fan up against the heatsink and then tighten it down. Alright, just like that. That makes sure there's as small of a gap as possible. There we go, tighten that screw as well. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the screws along the top as well. Alright, why is it all blurry now? There we go. Okay, put that screw in. There's some dust there, so let me make sure to kind of blow that out of the way. Okay, I'm gaining back some mobility in my right arm. Right, get this screw as well. There we go. Alright, let's get these bottom screws. This one here. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and put back the keyboard cable here. Okay, so to do that, just push that down and then pull it slightly back so that it gets into the slot. Alright, and then we'll just pull the whole cable in. You'll see that most of the connector is hidden now in the slot. Slide your finger over the top, put that back down. Trackpad cable, same thing, make sure it's lined up. And then just push it into place, you'll hear it click. Same thing with the speaker connector, line it up again. Okay, push that down. All right, make sure this is all, make sure this is all adhered down. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Make sure to put back the hidden screw. Let me stop this thing from shaking around, sorry. Okay, put back this hidden screw. You can go ahead and put the SSD in. I like to pinch the two pieces together so that way it's not putting all the pressure on the connector. Let's go ahead and put this screw in. Alright, let's go ahead and put back the fan. Line that up. Okay, use this part to help push the connector in and then slide your finger over the top to latch it back down. Take the screw. Again, we're just going to loosely fit the screws for now. Okay, just like that. Like this. Okay, once you get all three screws, again, same thing. Pull the fan against the heatsink here and then tighten them down. Alright, once you get two of them in, you can let go and tighten the other one. There we go. Let's go ahead and put back the silver screw here. This one holds the heatsink in place. Just like that. One thing I didn't do, let's loosen the fan screws here. Oops, not that one. We'll loosen this bottom fan screw here. Okay, and then we'll take this screw because we need to make sure to pull this over that way, okay? Make sure that this is being pulled over and then get that screw tightened in as well. And then we'll tighten this screw down. All right, get the other screw. Tighten this as well. Okay. Now we're going to get the battery screws as well. Get those two in. Okay, other battery screw. Same thing. Lift that up. Tighten that in place. Okay. Alright, let's see here. So we got all of that in. Now we just have the last two screws here, and we're going to reconnect the rest of the cables. So let's reconnect the LCD LVDS connector. Same thing as the other one, get it all lined up. Make sure it goes underneath this screw mount. Okay, and then pull that into place, put the latch down, there we go. Okay, turn this around. Make sure to put back the keyboard backlight connector. Just get it lined up and push it down into place. All right, and the iSight camera or the webcam cable, get that lined up, and then same as before, use the screwdriver to walk it into place. So just keep going from one side to the other. There we go. All right, then you got the wireless antennas. Get those lined up. You'll know they're lined up because if you have them lined up, if you move your finger around on top, it stays in place, and then you can just push it down. Oops. Okay, there we go. Same with the other two. There we go. And last one. There we go. So we've got all three wireless antenna connections done. So now we just slide our finger over the top, get all of this back into the grooves. Okay, just like that. Get this cable underneath this metal bracket here. Come on, go back under. There we go. All right, and then let's get the T8 screws and put those back in. All right, and tighten this one as well. All right, here we go. Make sure those cables are all routed. Put this rubber piece back on top. This helps keep the air flow within this area. Okay, line that all up. And then last but not least, oh, don't forget these two as well. Okay, line that up, click it into place. Okay, there we go. And then last but not least, we're going to reconnect the battery. So lift that back up, make sure it lines up, and then push it into place. There we go. All right, put the cover back on top and test it out. You can test it out before you put back the screws, but that pretty much should be it. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others, help them fix their devices as well. Welcome to stay while I put the rest of the screws in, but that's pretty much all there is to it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right. Alright, that's 2 screws. Oops. Oh. Alright, there you go. And I'll see you guys later. Whoops, one last thing I forgot to mention about the PRAM and SMC reset. So make sure your MacBook is off. When you have it plugged in, if the charge light is orange, then you'll be able to see that the SMC reset is working properly. Excuse me. Otherwise, just press the buttons and then just know that it should be okay. So Control Option Shift on the left side and then press the power button. And that's how you do an SMC reset. Okay, usually I like to do this anytime any hardware component is changed on the MacBook. Alright, so that's done with the SMC reset. Usually the charge light, if it's orange, it'll go green and then back to orange. And then we'll do a PRAM reset, just power on the computer and then hold down Command Option P and R. You'll hear the chime the first time. If your computer was muted, you won't hear the chime, but you should see like the screen go back off. And then after the screen goes off, you can let go, or you can just wait till you hear the chime the second time, and then you can let go. And that's how you know you did a PRAM reset correctly. All right, again, that's all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel so that others can fix their devices as well. And I'll see you all in the next one. All right, so let it drop again. Bye.